Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview some of the best and most successful real estate investors, capital raisers, and real estate entrepreneurs in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets for you to conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as a wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. So today, I have John Jackson with me. He's been referred to as the king of lease options by many educators, speakers, investors, and other high-level entrepreneurs in the real estate entrepreneurial world. And that's because John teaches investors how to make money utilizing lease options using no credit, no money, no risk, and with almost no competition, right? So like almost nobody is using this, what he teaches, all while working exclusively on pretty houses and about 6 hours per week. And he's been interviewed by a bunch of high-level podcasts like the Real Estate Investing Mastery podcast with Joe McCall's, the Real Estate Investor Summit with Mitch Steven, and a bunch of other platforms, NBC, Fox. So he's the real deal, the king of lease options. You're welcome, John Jackson. Thank you very much for being here, man.
Hey, Alex, man, really glad to be here. And before we started the podcast, you were telling me a little bit about your journey, your own story. I think that's beautiful. I love your mission, and what you're doing, what you're providing out there to all your listeners and viewers out there. So I love it, Alex. I'm ready to dive in and see where this conversation takes us, man.
Thank you, man. Me too. So actually, the first thing that I like to do with my guest is ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
All right, here we go. Bam. When I was in 2000, I quit my job to become a day trader because my wife at the time was about to have a baby. And I said, I'm not gonna work a job I don't like to pay for daycare, whatever, take care of my little baby. So I quit my job, became a day trader, did that for 2 years. In 2003, made the transition over into real estate. And as I was looking at real estate, there's so many different facets of real estate. There wasn't much information at the time in 2003, but I kept running across lease options. Well, I knew what an option was because I traded them on the stock market. So I said, hey, there's something here, and I just dove full force into lease options, and really had to create a business that hadn't been created yet, which is a business around lease options that helps sellers that can't sell and buyers that can't buy, and match the two up. And as in 2003, started leasing to buy. Did my first house, and I think it took about 90 days. Didn't know, had no clue what I was doing, and then went on within about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, and quit my job. I was just still doing some part-time stuff on the side. Quit that job and went full steam into real estate. And yeah, man, who knows how many? I know I've done over 800 lease options, well over that since 2003. Started training and coaching in about 2009, and 2010. And now we still have the coaching space where we teach people across the nation how to do real estate. In 2006, I became known as the Texas lease option guy. I'm the only guy that teaches lease options in Texas. So there you go. That was my claim to fame. Hopefully I got it in less than 75 seconds.
You're good. So that's great, man. Lease options. So like you're in a evergreen niche, no competition, right? Like almost nobody is doing it. And I also like tried, day trading and stock market back in college. So at 18, man, I actually got a full-ride scholarship. So according to like school and the grades that I got and what I got in my ACT, I'm kind of smart according to them, right? So I got a full-ride scholarship, And while I was going to college, man, I tried stocks, right? I tried like trading stocks, and I had no clue of what I was doing, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So I have a question, man. So did you like go into stock day trading and you quit your job, but like did you know it was gonna work for you? Did it work for you, or how did that work?
I mean, I started in 2000. Well, that's probably before you were, well, it was before you were born. But
I was born in 2000, actually. Yeah.
oh, okay. So at the time in 2000, the market was the tech bubble was about to crash. Everything was about to come down. So I was learning how to day trade in a down market, which hindsight's 2020. Had I just the way I made my money was just shorted. I shorted everything. Some big stocks. I would literally short something at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, wake up the next morning, and made whatever $1,000 just shorting a stock. But yeah, so I did pretty well at day trading, but I just kept, for whatever reason, kept looking at real estate. And I read a book. I'll tell you what really got me started is there's a book out there. There's a book written in 2003 called 1 Minute Millionaire by Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen. It's a phenomenal book. I recommend everybody get it. Matter of fact, it's one of those books I need to read again because it's actually 2 books in one. It talks about real estate and different strategies. The other part of the book is actually a story that they wrote a fictional story about I think it was a single mom with 1 kid, or maybe she had 2. Really, really tough financial times for her, and how she started implementing the strategies that were in the book. So it was really interesting. It was a phenomenal book, 1 Minute Millionaire. That's what got me started back in 2003. So I definitely recommend getting that book. And there's a lot of things I learned in the stock market that I applied to real estate. With markets, whether it's stock market or real estate, you've got to know your niche. What's your niche? So with the stock market, you've got people that, I'm going old school here with my terminology. You had people that would trade for teenies. Back then they traded fractions, like 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, etc. They don't do that anymore, but you would trade for teenies, a 16th or an 1/8 point move. So you'd buy a lot of stock, look for that 1/8 move and sell. So you got those people. Then you have people that do swing trading, 3 to 5 days. You have people that trade just specific business avenues. Maybe it's they could be trading futures, whatever the case may be. But everybody trades their specific niche. They're not all over the map trading multiple things. They know they're in their lane. With real estate, it's the same thing. Whether it's wholesaling, lease options, etc., refine that craft first. Don't be trying to do lease options, single family, trying to get that going. Then you jump over here, try to do some wholesaling. You jump over here, try to do some land, and you're bouncing all around. Go with your lane and stick with it till you've got that dialed in, because the riches is in the niches, right?
For sure, 100%.
So once you dial that in, then hey, let's bring on another tool, whether it's wholesaling or land flipping or whatever the case may be. But really, I recommend to anybody getting started, refine your craft when there's no risk and no money involved, right? I don't recommend going off and doing subject to if you don't know anything about interest rates and how to set the numbers and all that. Plus, you've got risk. There's one thing you never want to become in real estate, and that is the desperate seller. If you take a house down subject to, and you don't have reserves to make those payments, you just screwed the homeowner, right?
Yeah.
With what I teach with lease options, there's no risk. You don't have any money involved, and there's really almost no competition. Even though I teach it, you're not going to have the competition like you do with wholesaling, because I'm targeting different sellers. I'm targeting people that are actually trying to sell their house. So you just don't see the competition.
So, man, what is a lease option in real estate? Could you explain a little bit more?
So a lease option, imagine if anybody has ever leased a BMW or a Mercedes, a Cadillac, something like that, you actually had a lease option on that Mercedes. You're leasing it, you had the option to buy it, right? Same thing, except instead of a Mercedes, we do a house. So the buyer is leasing the property with the option to buy it within 12 months. The way we structure it, though, almost everybody buys the house because we're looking specifically for that buyer. But they're leasing it with the option to purchase it within 12 months.
Okay. Yeah. So then, and is there any money down?
Yeah, that's how we get paid. So we get paid an option consideration, also an assignment fee. It's also called an assignment fee, usually about 5%. So $400,000 house, about $20,000 is what we get paid. That's what the buyer pays us.
Okay. So
So
then,
with wholesaling, you've got a cash buyer is going to pay your assignment fee, right? It comes off the HUD.
mhm.
With us, there's no HUD with the lease option. It's just the buyer's paying the assignment fee, option consideration, and that's how we get paid.
Okay, so then let's see. How does this work? You look for sellers, right? People who are trying to sell, and you offer them the opportunity to help them sell their house,
Yep.
and you use a lease option,
Yep.
right? So, and then for the buyer, they're gonna buy the house, and then I don't know, the house is 400,000, whatever. And so your fee is the 5%, and
Mhm.
then so the buyer buys the house, and then he has an option: buys the house or rents the house or leases the
Yeah,
house.
he's leasing the property, but he has an option to buy it. Yeah. So within 12 months, we move them towards finance, so they can go ahead and get the financing in place.
Okay, and then those 400,000 were for like the amount of that the house is worth, or
Yeah, yeah. So so let's say use an example here. Seller has his house for $400,000, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on numbers here, but $400,000 they're asking for the house. Hasn't sold 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. We'll either reach out to him via text, via direct mail, depending on the marketing we're doing, and then uh, talk to them about, hey, we're your plan B. We can get you full price and cash flow and no commissions. We structure the numbers for them. They say, hey, yeah, this looks great. Now we go out and market that lease option to our buyers. We use our website, Leasing to Buy. You can use Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Fizbur, Zumper, all these other different ways to market that property. Then the buyer comes along, pays us our assignment fee, which is option consideration of about 5%. That goes in our pocket. And now they move in, they're making their payments every month to the seller. The seller got full price, didn't pay a commission, and they're getting cash flow.
Hmm, cool. And then the buyer has the option to buy the
Right.
house at the end.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, man. So that's what lease options are. So you this is where you help investors with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I teach investors. A lot of investors that come to me are newer investors that have tried wholesaling or tried this, tried that, couldn't get it to work. It just didn't click for them. They got their head handed to them, sending out 10,000 pieces of mail a month and all the competition and all that, the skip tracing, all that garbage. So most of the investors that come to me are newer investors, but I also work with wholesalers that have a trash can full of leads that don't fit their little buy box, right? Because a
Mm,
wholesaler is already generating these leads, but these leads have to fit their formulas, right? 70 cents, the typical 70 cents minus repairs, blah, blah, blah. Well, a lot of the leads they have don't fit that box. These sellers may want full price. Well, if the house is in good condition, move-in ready, that's a lease option.
got it. All right, man. So then you work with like beginner investors, and you teach them. So people who had not didn't have success in wholesaling or other real estate investing niche, right? And you
Yep.
get them to get towards success with lease options. So your voice, like I hear you really cracked up, man.
Oh, really?
My team will be editing this. I think it's me. So let me disconnect my AirPods and connect them again, and then we can just
Okay.
continue.
Okay.
All right. All right. Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm listening to you. Wait, let's see. There you go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. All right, great. I can hear you as well. And now you can hear me as well.
Yep, yep. I hear you just good, just fine.
All right, so the recording is still going, man. So let's just keep on going.
Yeah.
So John, with so man, another thing that you're known for is seller financing, right? So talking to sellers and structuring a good deal the like no money down type of deal, and put it in and just structuring those deals creatively. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah. So the majority of sellers again, going back to the majority of sellers that we work with, that we talk to, they're not in a situation where they're going to take 70 cents on the dollar. They're not going to take a haircut, anything like that. They don't need to yet. And they're not in that position. They would just hold on to the house, and just rent it out or something. So we can offer the lease option, or we can also offer full price seller finance. That's where they're going to get full price. We're going to get 10% down, maybe 15% down. They're going to get a chunk of that as well. But they're going to make more money, because if it's a $400,000 house, they're going to make about $800,000 on that property doing seller finance. So we can position that as well. Certainly there's sellers where they're in a little bit more, depending on their situation, where we can come in and just buy it from them, seller finance. We can pay them, in most cases, pay them what they're asking, but over on terms, right? So there's a saying in real estate: you can have terms or price, but not both. So if the seller is stuck on their price of $400,000, hey, we can do that. We can do that. We can pay $400,000 over 360 equal payments.
Yeah.
Right. That's 0%. When you're talking to a seller, never, if you're looking to acquire a property, seller finance, never bring up down payment or interest. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let the seller do that. Then you can have that conversation. Otherwise, don't bring it up. Just say, yeah, I can pay $400,000 over 360 equal payments. Let them figure out 0% if they even figure it out.
So if you could pick one, price or terms, which one would you pick, man?
Terms.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How come? Can you tell me like a story or like an example of why that's important?
Because terms are more creative. Terms give you a lot more flexibility. Price is price, and it's there, right? I mean, unless you're getting a heck of a deal on a house, right? I'd rather have terms. I'd rather buy a house. Let's say it's a $300,000 house. I'd rather buy that on terms than buy that house at, say, $250. Because now you got to come up with the capital, go to a private lender or whatever, come up with the capital for that $250. I'd rather just buy it at $300 on terms with no money down.
Yeah.
Because once we close on it, depending on how I want to structure it, I can put a sign in the yard that says dueño a dueño or seller finance, whatever, right? And do a wrap on it and seller finance it.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. So terms, more creative, more flexibility, more space to do things that could and help you end up with a really good deal in the end.
Exactly.
So is that how you buy properties without a bank and with no credit, with no lenders and all that?
Yeah, and even for myself, we're probably going to move in about 12 months, and get some land wherever in North Carolina. I don't ever want to use a bank again, because guess what? I got to fill out 80 pages of documentation, provide 3 years of bank statements and tax returns and DNA samples, all this crap. I'm like, no, this is just dueño a dueño, is owner to owner, right? And work out the terms of the owner. Boom, right?
Cool. So, man, for sure. So, like, seller financing is great. I've been exposed to it a few times, and dueño to dueño is good, right? What do you think would be what is the key? For anyone out there who might be hearing seller financing for the first time or creative seller financing for the first time, and they get the idea, right? You go to the seller, you go directly to the dueño. What would you tell them? What would you say is the key to actually making seller financing work?
Let me tell you something. The most important thing in creative real estate is not being a math wizard. That comes secondary. The most important thing in creative real estate, or even getting a deal, but we'll stick to creative real estate, is having empathy.
Empathy?
And I can't teach empathy, right? Either got it or you don't.
Damn.
You got to be able to put yourself in their shoes. What is their pain? You've got to be empathetic with them. So you got to find out, where are they here? Where are they trying to get to? If you don't know where they're trying to get to, how are you going to build that bridge for them to get them here? So you got to have empathy to understand where they are. Where's that pain point? Where are they trying to get to? Maybe they're living in Atlanta, but their grandkids live in Milwaukee or whatever, but they got to do something with this house. And you got to have empathy for them, because maybe, their daughter's sick or something. They're trying to move for the family. You got to have empathy for them. You got to know where their pain is. So I always say, be the real estate doctor. When you're talking to them, especially in that first phone call, you're not trying to say, okay, great, here's the deal, right? Unless you're wholesaling. You're trying to build rapport and have empathy for their situation. Tell me where does it hurt? What's going on here with this property? Where are you trying to get to? That's the biggest thing, is where are you trying to get to, so we can craft something that'll bridge that. And once you know that, then you can write the prescription and say, well, based on what you told me, I really think whatever, a full price lease option may be best. Here's why. Or we could go the seller finance route. But you've got to have empathy first.
Yeah. Okay. So you said empathy, either you have it or you don't have it. And
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think that?
Yeah, I think in the sense of when people are talking to sellers, they get so nervous about talking to sellers. I'm like, you're just trying to hear their story, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to close the deal right there. You're trying to just hear their story and have a conversation with them. And when here's the thing, when people get so nervous about talking to sellers, it's because they're being selfish. They're being selfish because they're thinking about them, about the money they might make, how they need this money, whatever. So they're being selfish. You remove selfishness, and if you can focus on empathy of listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. That includes listening for commonalities. If they say, hey, well, we got this house in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, I love Jacksonville. I love your island, blah, blah. I'm trying to find those connections there that we may have, right? Because the more connections you make, the more they're going to remember you. Plus, they drop their wall.
Exactly. Right. You build trust.
Yep.
Yeah. So then, so man, like just as I go through my journey, I just see. I mean, you're familiar with the coaching industry, right? And like the sales process, the coaching industry uses, which like you figure out the prospect's current situation, and you really try to be empathetic and dig deep, right? And see if they have any pains that may want to get them to move forward. And you figure out their future situation, like their desired situation, and you figure out all the problems and all the things that might make them feel like they can't get there by themselves. And then by the time you present them your offer, right, like because you listen to them and because you're backed like a doctor, right, like a real estate doctor or whatever, they almost accept whatever it is you offer them as true, right, like as the key to solving the situation. So sounds like like working with sellers, sounds like it might be the same. It might be kind of the same.
Yeah, when I'm talking to someone about coaching, I'm always asking, what have you done in real estate? Are you just starting? What have you tried to do? What did you like about, maybe it took someone else's course or coaching. What did you like about that? What were some of the things you learned? What were some things that you felt that weren't clicking, that didn't resonate with you, whatever, so that I know, that we can craft something that's going to work for them, but also that we're a good fit to work with.
Exactly. Yeah. So man, and so before, like sometime before, I used to try to like convince people. So that same framework, I've been using it for a while now. But now I have like a different depth, like a deeper layer of understanding. Because before I used that framework, current situation, desired situation, pain, problems, and then offer, right? But I just went through the motions, just like a script, right? Yeah. I didn't really have empathy. I wasn't really interested in whatever they had to say. Now I am, man, and I think that comes from like building something of value, right? Because as to like before, I didn't really have something of value to sell, and I was just trying to sell, right? Like I was just thinking I was being selfish, like you said.
Yeah.
But right now, I know we have something really valuable, right? We've invested a ton of time systematizing it and making it really good and everything. And now, like I'm able to go deep just because I'm really interested in wanting to see that what we have will make a good fit for them, right? And I'm really interested in wanting to see like how important is it for them to go from point A to point B, right? And then the funny thing is that the more interested I am, and the more I'm able to dig deep and learn information of why it's important for them to move from here to here, the easier it is to get them to take action, but then at the same time, the better I feel, right?
Yeah.
Because taking that decision to use my vehicle to get from point A to point B makes me feel good because I know it's a good fit and I know it's gonna help them,
Yep.
right? So I mean, this is just some sales stuff, but it's not really sales stuff. It's like you said, empathy. It's just like, yeah.
Just
So
have empathy, listen to their story. Yep.
so man, you have like a training called, well, it's not called like that, but it promises 6 figures with 6 hours of work per week, right?
Yeah.
So
The six-figure side hustle is has all my training in it, contracts, documents, um, training videos, everything. We also include a software component in there as well that'll scrape your entire state or your county for sub owners and send text messages to them. And really, if someone devotes 6 hours a week to this, they can do deals. Maybe only do one deal a month. Well, if the average deal is 16,000 to 20,000, right? That's not bad for 6 hours a week. But you've got to be consistent. You've got to be committed. You know, and that's something that we all struggle with. Even me on some of my projects, is saying, nope, I gotta stay committed. I got to do this. But yeah, this is not something that when people talk to me about want to come on board for my coaching and they say, oh, I'm retired. I can do this 40, 50 hours a week. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you to do for 40 hours. There's not that much to do. Just do the scrape, send out the messages, reply to the sellers, call them back. And you're talking about, 6 hours a week.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this consistency thing, man. A big problem is like the woman in the red dress. Have you seen the movie Matrix?
Oh yeah.
Right. So there's a woman in the red dress, and it's just a distraction because when you like it costs your attention, and when you go and try to talk to her, you get killed. Right. So this is like an analogy for business. So the riches are in the niches. So once you focus on a niche and you pick something, there's a point in the journey where everything else seems like it's working. Like everything else works for everyone else except you. You're with your thing right here trying to make it work. But then all of these other things are the woman in the red dress that if you let them take your attention, you'll get killed. Because
Man,
right?
man, I gotta watch it. I mean, I've watched a movie. I mean, let's face it, we're living in the Matrix. But
Yeah.
I had forgotten that scene, and I want to go back and watch that. But that's how poignant is that? Now I got to go watch and go back and watch that scene. How we can get easily distracted, especially as entrepreneurs. Our brain is always going. I always say the greatest idea we ever had as an entrepreneur is the idea that we just had. Oh my God, I'm gonna do this amazing thing, right? I guess that's the woman in the red dress, right? So yeah, I get it. Yeah. We gotta stay focused. And it can be hard when you're running a few different companies, like where I've got the real estate side, I've got the info product side, I have the coaching side, and you've got plates spinning, and you start focusing on this plate over here, and now this plate starts wobbling, right?
Yeah.
And and a lot of what you see on social media is all garbage anyway. So I would recommend to people that don't compare yourself to others, because what you're seeing on social, most of it's garbage anyway.
It's just the highlights, right? It's just the highlights of people's lives for sure.
Yeah, you never see people with every post talking about the setbacks they had in their business and what they learned from it. It's all about, oh, I got this, close this deal, close 5 deals this week or whatever. But you don't hear about all the crap that they went through.
Yeah. So you see all of that stuff, and that's all of people's highlights, and you think your life is shitty, right? Well, it's not that your life is shitty. You're just comparing, like what your day to day is to like people's highlights. Well, yeah, of course you're gonna think your life is shitty, and you're gonna be depressed and ungrateful, and it's going to be like a snowball effect of the same thing, right?
Yeah, there's some. I love psychology, and there's some great books I would recommend. One of them is The Gap and the Gain. Is a great book, and then another one, really easy book to read, is Peaks and Valleys. And you got to remember that the top of every peak is another peak's valley, right?
Yeah.
But something that I do pretty regularly, I need to do it, get back to doing it every day, every night, is I have a journal by the side of the bed and write down 3 wins for the day. and it doesn't have to be like, I made, 100 grand a day, but what was a win for the day? And then what
Yeah.
would be 3 wins for the next day? This way your subconscious stays in the focus of the gain, not the gap.
Oh, so that's what the gap in the game is about.
Yeah.
Is the author the same author of Who Not How?
Yes. So they partner up together.
Mm-hmm.
Who Not How is a great book. Yeah. So it was Who Not How. Yep. Who Not How right here. Same authors. Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy wrote it together. They also wrote Peaks and Valleys. I mean, Gap in the Game.
Yeah. Have you read the other one from them? So it's Gap in the Game, Who Not How, and then there's another one.
Yeah,
It's 10x. 10x is easier than 2x, I think, something like that.
They've written about probably 3 or 4 together. Yeah, I think Benjamin's written some on his own. But yeah, I've read Who Not How, Gap in the Game. Peaks and Valleys is by the same guy that wrote Who Moved My Cheese. But that's a great book too.
So, man, why do you say that we're living in the Matrix? I'm curious. I mean, I think we are. I agree. I would like to know why you think the same.
Oh man, well, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Things I've experienced in my own life allow you to see that, oh wow, this is just all a game. When you look at when you look at wars, well, wars are very, very, very profitable, no matter who wins for certain people, right?
Yeah.
And so they manipulate you with media, whether it be news especially. They tell you what they want you to watch. And I tell you what, in the book Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how, and this goes back to the 20s to 30s, 1920s, 1930s. New York had a flu epidemic, and so the news back then, it was a newspaper, was always printing about the flu epidemic. And so finally the mayor told the newspapers, you got to stop printing this. We got to stop printing, putting everybody into fear about the flu. So the newspapers stopped printing about the flu epidemic. Within 1 month, it was gone.
The flu was gone. That's crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's happening to me? So like, I get on calls every single day with prospects and, clients and, random people and stuff like that. And almost every single person is like, do you know what's happening in the world? Israel and over there. And I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea, man. And I'm almost like feeling bad. Maybe I'm selfish. I don't know, but I'm good. Cause like all I can see is fear on their face.
Yeah. It's one thing to not care about innocent people getting killed. It's another thing to say, you know what? I'm not playing that game. I'm not involved in that show that was put together intentionally.
Exactly.
By people, people in power. I mean, I know this is not a political show here, but you look at Hamas, right, over in Palestine. Hamas was created by the CIA in Israel way back before you were born. I know that because Palestine used to have the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Yasser Arafat was a leader. So the CIA worked with Israel to militarize the Arabs and the Muslims. I mean, to counteract with to help overthrow Yasser Arafat.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what they were doing. Now here we are in this mess, right? So we're the ones that created it, So yeah. So
like it's just crazy. Everyone says that.
I tell you, there's some other movies. If you watch Wag, this is an old movie. Wag the Dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie, but it's like that's really what happens about how they manipulate the media and stick their nose into fund to send arms over to a country. Everybody's making money, and then suddenly 10 years later we're fighting that country that we armed.
That's yeah. And then someone told me, I don't know if this is true, but like a lot of a big reason of why people are fighting right now is still religion, man. And it just blows me away how like We're literally still fighting wars for religion. That's just crazy. Don't you
Yeah.
think? Like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
crazy, man.
Imagine here in the United States if the Mormons and the Methodists were fighting with guns and shit. It's not gonna happen.
Fighting to prove whose version, whose
Oh,
label was better or right.
right. Was it Muhammad? Was it Jesus? Was it Buddha? But there again, they've got the propaganda. If you read the book Outwitting the Devil,
Uh-huh.
also by Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, I'm about a third or fourth of the way through it. It's phenomenal, and this book was written in the 30s. What he's saying in that book is exactly what's going on now with propaganda,
Mm.
and how the devil uses propaganda, to manipulate people. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and there's like it's huge. Like, this topic is huge. I've seen a couple of clips and reels with like Patrick Bet David talking about how propaganda is like
Oh yeah,
washing our kids' brains and a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, for sure. This is a whole nother podcast, right? Like
yeah,
a
yeah.
entire series of conversations. But man, you have the boardroom live event, right? So my team is pretty quick, pretty good at working on podcasts, and this podcast will probably be live in about a week or
Okay.
less. So then I think it might be worth talking a little bit about that.
Hello, modern kings and queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you so much. So December 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2023, December 7th, 8th, and 9th, I'm having the boardroom event. So what is the boardroom? Well, I've spent years and years and years on stage at my own 3-day events with 70, 60, 70, 80 people in the room. And we've all been to big, real estate events and this and that, where they're big ballrooms, with hundreds of people in there. And they're good. You get some good content there, or you certainly can, and some networking. But when you leave, what the hell do you have? You've got
An expensive notebook.
an expensive notebook, and you have nothing. So you go home, and guess what happens? Monday happens. So you don't have a plan to execute or anything. So I'm going back old school, man. In 2010, 2011, I used to do boardrooms where 8 people would fly in or drive into Fort Worth, and we would spend 3 days with just 8 people, and we would just give them the keys of the kingdom, everything about lease options, seller finance, subject to all the marketing. We would do live seller calls to people in their target area. So we're going to do the same thing in December, where we have 8 people. I think we have 5 spots left, or 4 spots left, but 8 people in a boardroom for 3 days with me and my team. We're dialing it in. So imagine, versus 70 people or 80 people in a room, now you've got 8, and now you're focused on that educator. Now I'm focused on the attendee for their specific question, for their specific what they need. And every single person there is going to get one-on-one time with me, so we can craft an actual game plan for them based around their life and their schedule. So when they leave, they've got a game plan of, oh, here's what I need to execute when I get home. Boom, 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 boom. Right. So I'm super excited about it. This is how I started training way back in 2009. Did 101. 2010 started doing the boardroom. And some of my most successful students outside of my current dream partners came from those boardrooms, man. Some of them have gone on and have done some absolutely amazing things.
Yeah, for sure. So how often are you thinking about doing these boardrooms?
So I'll probably do 2 a year. If people want information, they can go to boardroomliveevent.com, boardroomliveevent.com, and they'll get full. First of all, they get they get full access to all of my trainings, some bonus trainings as well, even ahead of time. We do a couple of Zoom calls ahead of time just to make sure foundation is laid and all that. And then when they come to the boardroom, it's game on. And we're doing live seller calls, showing them the marketing, how to structure the deals, how to have those conversations with sellers, how do we find the buyers, everything, or the marketing tools we use. But yeah, it's boardroomliveevent.com. They can get more information on there as well.
Cool. Sounds like doesn't really sound like a learning event or seminar type of event. It sounds like an execution and implementation type of event.
That's exactly. Well, you nailed it. You nailed it. Because they're going to get a ton of information and education, but it's really about execution and implementation.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so so then I'll put the link that you just mentioned, below this podcast for anyone who might be interested. Click on the link below, boardroomliveevent.com, for more information. So there's a couple of spots left. So who is this for, man? So this is like specifically beginner real estate investors, or who would you like to get on in this boardroom with you?
Yeah, great question. So you can be a beginner. That's certainly fine. But what's more important is that this is not for people that are the course junkies, where they're just buying course after course after course. It's isn't for the event junkie, where they just go to events just to pretend like they're doing, just to be going to an event. This is someone that says, damn it, I've got to build a business, and this is how I'm going to do it. It's not from buying, 5 more courses next month or going to some event with 100 people. It's about being serious and saying, I want to build a business. And when I leave this boardroom, I'm going to have the plan to implement that business and how to build that business. So it can be someone that's just starting off or someone that is currently active, especially if they're already generating leads. That's great. But again, it's for someone that wants to build a business, not just dabble.
Good. So that's incredibly important, right? So man, let's see. You are in really good shape, man.
Oh, well, thanks. I'll tell you what, thanks. So I'm 55, but I work out almost every day. Here's the thing. I actually lost 20 pounds accidentally. I went to Brazil and got a parasite and a bacteria and had to take a bunch of stuff, and then found out I had, this is so funny. I found out I had E. coli then, 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, what the hell? So I think I'll pass that now. So now I'm literally eating everything I can, protein drinks. I'm eating 3-4 times a day, trying to gain weight. Whenever I tell someone that I lost 20 pounds with a parasite, they're like, wow, you should bottle that and sell it. Man, I would if I could.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are trying to like lose, a lot of pounds really easily. So, well, when you work out, like, what do you do? Have you always been healthy, or?
Yeah, well, not when I was drinking. That's a whole other story. There was about 19 years of my life where I was heavy, and I was drinking, not eating. And so I'd go to the gym, but then you're useless then at the gym. But I've always worked out for many years. Yeah, so it's just ingrained in me. I just love it. I love the dopamine I get. The endorphins it releases, go in, hit the gym, hit the weights. I just enjoy it, man.
Cool. So if you like dopamine, I have one really cool dopamine hack for you, man.
Yeah.
That's ice baths. Have you ever tried them?
What is it? I'm right. What is it called?
Ice baths? Like just ice baths?
Ice baths. Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've certainly done those before. Yeah. That you can do it. I don't have an ice bath here, but you can do an ice bath instead of drinking caffeine. And your dopamine goes up, and it'll keep you more alert throughout the day, even though you did it 6 hours ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So I use this. So at Home Depot, you're not gonna be able to see it just because it's blurry and the camera focuses on my face. But I have like a freezer.
Yeah. A freezer. Yeah, you plug it in. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it makes ice. It was like $100. One of the best investments that I've ever made, man. And I'm getting really jacked.
Look at you. You got some guns.
Yeah, because like I recover really fast because I do them every day. I do the ice baths every single day.
Yeah.
So man, we have a couple of minutes. Before ending the podcast, I'd like to end with a couple of questions. So, in your journey, what has been a mindset, like a negative belief limiting belief, something that you believe that wasn't true, that you came aware of and allowed you to get to that the next level. So like, did you ever have a mindset that you weren't aware of that was keep holding you back, and then all of a sudden it clicked, you fixed it, and then boom, you started growing from there?
Yeah, we all do. And the thing is, with their mindset, it's not something you fix and then now it's fixed forever, because your subconscious is always going, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's there to protect you. So it's like the spinning off thoughts and stuff. One of the things is, so there's the when I do my 3-day event, and even at the boardroom, oh my gosh, at boardroomliveevent.com, when I do during that event, there's going to be probably about a 2-hour session, hour and a half, 2-hour session on mindset, which I think is a little bit overused phrase, but a word, but diving into why do we think the way we do? How do we think the way we do? And how can we be aware of it? And so there's 6 words that kill. I came up with this as I was learning, as I was teaching more and more people, saying, why can I get some people to really succeed? And other people I put 3 times as much energy into, and they just won't get it going. And there's 6 words that kill. It's yeah, but, what if only. Yeah, but, what if only. And so if you say those, if you hear yourself saying those words, yeah, but I don't know anything about capital raising.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but I'm scared talking to sellers. What if the seller says, here's the scariest what if the seller says yes?
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh shit. No, what do I do? Right? Or if only. If only, if only I could be as successful as that dude on Facebook, showing his car or whatever. But yeah, but what if, and
if only. Okay.
So
those are, go ahead.
Yeah, there's the 6 words that kill. You have to know when you're saying that to yourself. In other words, when I got sober, one of the things that I had to really dive into for myself was me and psychology and what it was making me tick. And one of the things I found whenever I had a thought or a desire for alcohol was I had to be very in tune with, what am I saying to myself when I'm not listening?
Yeah.
You got to do that, because you're talking to yourself all day, even when you're asleep. It's going. You got to be able to know wait a minute, what's going on back here? What am I saying to myself? And is it true or is it bullshit? Right. And when you're able to really be in tune with what are you saying to yourself when you're not listening, that's huge. That's huge, because now you're in tune with your subconscious saying, and you could be able to say, no, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah. So it's just awareness, right? Like some habits, habits to build to build that muscle of being aware of what you're saying to yourself when you're not listening is ice baths, yoga, working out, meditating, right? So
Absolutely.
It's huge. I've caught myself, man. Like I'm having a conversation and it's just negative, and then all of a sudden I like pop away from it, right? I snap out of it, and I'm able to see the conversation. So I'm not the negative person that is talking bad on myself. I'm not the one that is responding. I'm something else, man. It's crazy. I've been through those experiences where I just snap out of a conversation that I'm having with another self, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to see the conversation that I was supposedly having with someone else. And then I'm like, so if I'm not this one and I'm not the other one, and I'm the one who's observing, like, what am I? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So you got to be in tune with what you're saying to yourself.
The other question, really quick, is mindset map, right? So clarity, man. So do you constantly set goals, or like what is it that you use to make sure that you are in alignment with? Because like I used to set goals, man, but not anymore. Just because like what I use now is just like trying to connect with that part of myself that is in alignment with my with God or whatever it is that you want to call it. But I went through a period of time where I was setting massive goals and I was just like really, but now like I'm more like free flowing. I do have an intention, a clear intention, but I'm trying to find a way to like get in tune with what God has for me, right? Has planned for me. So because like if what I have planned for me is big and it gets me excited and it gets me inspired and it gets me out of bed every single morning, and then I know that that's really little in comparison to what God has really for me, right? So I'm trying to like find ways to get in tune with that. So do you have anything, any
So,
suggestion?
yeah. So, I mean, we all set goals, and goals are important, but what's more important is, um, and I think this was in, this wasn't, what book did I just read that, dude, I read books all the time. But it was talking about, your goal is up here, but really what you want to work on first is the center of, it was a diagram of a circle. And
Uh-huh.
it's what you really want to focus on is you first. You have to be the kind of, you have to evolve into the person that will hit that goal. You have to have the system. So there's you, the systems, and the goal.
Hmm.
But you have to become that person. Oh, it may have been Atomic Habits. I think it may have been Atomic Habits, this book that was in. You have to, I know it was, you have to become the kind of person that's going to constantly, that's going to use those systems that'll get you to that goal. You can have this goal all you want, but if you don't have the systems, you're not going to get there. If you have the systems, but you're not the kind of person that's going to use going to the gym.
Yeah.
I want to say, I want to, in my case, I want to gain, 10 pounds of muscle. Okay. That's a goal. Okay. Well, what system do I have? That system is getting up at 5 a.m. like clockwork. Boom.
Training.
Yep. Make my protein shake. I got my systems, my routine down. But in order to do that, I have to become that person that will get up every day at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and not do it begrudgingly. So you've got to work on yourself. You have to become the person that's going to use those systems to get to that goal.
Good. So talking about systems and habits, right? Like, what is one habit that you feel has benefited you the most in your life? One, I mean, you could say one, you could say multiple, but yeah.
I would say one is journaling almost every night. Again, I've got to become that person again that does it every night on my wins for the day. Also, step 10 in AA. So, the 12-step program in AA, everybody needs a 12-step program, whether you drink or not. Step 10 is continue to take personal inventory. And when I was wrong, promptly admitted it. Dude, I do that every day with whether it be a customer or someone, my wife or somebody where I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I was wrong there. So you constantly take personal inventory. When you're wrong, promptly admit it.
Personal inventory. When you're wrong, promptly admit it. Personal inventory. I like that one, man. Like taking personal inventory. And actually right now, I remember that I went through an exercise in like personal development of taking personal inventory of the people that you're surrounded by in your life. Because the idea is that you cut out people who hurt you. You cut out people who are not like, who are not going to empower you to get to the next level. And then you want to get really clear on who are those people that can help you, get to that next level. But yeah, continuing to take personal inventory is super important because you go down the line 2 years, and then 2 years later, you find yourself surrounded with people who don't help, who don't add to your life. So you got to take personal inventory again. So I just went through that lesson. It was a really good lesson. So John, is there any other last words, man? Any other last like message? Anything you may want to share with the audience?
Yeah. I'll going back to Atomic Habits is you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So again, going back to goals, you can set all the goals you want, but what systems do you have the systems in place? And then are you going to become the person that will implement those systems?
Yeah, for sure.
So like I've got coaching students where they say, hey, I want to do, 2 deals in the next 60 days. All right, well, I've got the systems. Here are the systems. But then when I call that person, or they're on a coaching call, I'm like, okay, did you do this? No, they give me excuse after excuse why they didn't implement the system.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't become that person to implement that system.
There you go. And it's so easy, man. Like, it's so easy. Like it's just you holding yourself back. So for example, you're told you got to do this. The only thing that is holding you from doing that is you. Mm-hmm. Here. It's crazy. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So man, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you, John. Yeah. I really enjoyed this episode, man. So we have your Facebook, your Instagram. We're gonna put the link to the boardroom event down below. Is there anything else that you may want to invite the audience?
Yeah,
too.
if they want to get a little deeper look into what we do, how we do it and everything. Again, we talked about boardroomliveevent.com. If you want to get serious and join me in December in Fort Worth, it'll change the trajectory of your life. I'll tell you that. If they just want to get a peek at, hey, what is Lease Options? What does John do, et cetera? Then go to 16kdeals.com, 16kdeals.com, because our lowest average deal is about 16K. There's a whole video there. Training. They can actually get my training and everything there as well. 16kdeals.com.
Awesome. We'll put that in there, man. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. All right. And I'll see you later, John.
All right. Take care, Alex. All right.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we are super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.